Hey everybody, it's Jacob here. This is going to be a little thing that we're trying out here. I have always wanted an outlet to just blather on about whatever game I'm playing right now. Welcome to a new series where I discuss whatever game I've recently beaten. Here's my philosophy on playing games. I play 2 games at a time, one longer game, usually a JRPG of some sort or an RPG, and then a shorter game, usually like an action game, something you beat in like 20 hours or less. I thought, just give it a try. Let's see how this goes. So the first game I wanted to talk about was a game I just beat this morning, No More Heroes 3. It just came out on the Nintendo Switch last week after many years of fanfare. I believe it was announced in, I want to say 2018, maybe 2019. Yeah, it was definitely 2019 because the previous game, which we all thought was a spin-off, but it's actually very canon. Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes, came out on the Switch in 2019, and it just feels so much older than that. I don't know what it is, but that game feels like it came out in like 2017 or something, but no, it just came out in 2019. I am a No More Heroes fan. I remember buying the first game, it wasn't too long ago, like in the grand scheme of things. It was like 6 or 7 years ago. I got it for like $5 at GameStop. It sat on my shelf for a while, and then I played through like almost all of it. Like literally, for some reason, I just stopped playing before the final boss, and then finished it up like 2 years later. It's great. No More Heroes, for those who don't know, is a series of hack and slash games developed by Suda51, who of course you may know from games like Killer 7. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not huge into Suda51, so I can't list off his like bibliography by memory. I know he also did he was also involved in Lollipop Chainsaw, which is another game I've played. I haven't beaten it because my controller died. My Xbox 360 controller is broken. Anyway, my point is, No More Heroes. If you know anything about Suda51, he's a very eccentric game director. His games have this certain wacky flair about them. I mean, from my basic understanding, it's probably one of the more successful series they've had. The first game came out on the Wii in 2007 or 2008, and then it had a sequel. And from my understanding, Suda51 doesn't do sequels very much, so that kind of showed the passion that No More Heroes fan base had for the first game. And then it got a port to the 360 and PS3. Only the PS3 version made its way to North America. That didn't do so well. And then the series was just kind of dormant for a while before releasing Travis Strikes Again, which I did play. I didn't like it. I played it for, I didn't play it very much. I played it for like an hour. I thought it was really boring. I did not care for it, which is a problem because the plot, as I said before, we all thought it was a spin-off. No, that game is very canon, and you realize that really early on in No More Heroes 3. You need to know the plot of Travis Strikes Again before you start this game, otherwise you are going to just be so confused. Like, who is Dr. Juvenile? Why the fuck is Bad Girl alive? Who is Badman? What is this glove that Travis has? What is going on? I don't know. I didn't play Travis Strikes Again. But I did read, before No More Heroes 3 came out, I read a Wikipedia plot summary. And that pretty much covered it. I wasn't terribly confused. There was bits and pieces. I was like, what? Did I miss something? But for the most part, I got it. So yes, I recommend you play the first 2 games first, if you care about what's happening. And Travis Strikes Again if you like it, because I seem to be in the minority when I say I don't like Travis Strikes Again, so you may like it. I'd say you give it a try before starting this one. So the story of the game is a bit different. Like, before, Travis had to fight all of these very eccentric assassins, the thing is they were all human. In this game, though, we bring in aliens into the fold. One of the biggest plot points that was very obvious in the pre-release promotion for No More Heroes 3 was the aliens. There's this alien dude named Fu, who as a little baby was raised. I don't know about raised. He didn't seem to be there for very long, but was accompanied by this human named Damon, as a little fuzzball, and he promised to come back in 20 years or something along those lines. After that, Damon is like super successful. Fu's grown up. He's no longer a little fuzzball. He's this like weird, sexy alien demon prince. And he brings all of his friends and says, oh, we're going to take over the world. And somehow at that point, the UAA gets involved, and this becomes like No More Heroes 1. There are 10 aliens. Travis has to fight them all to become the top-ranked galactic assassin and save the world. It feels like the only way that No More Heroes could go from here. Of course, there's going to be aliens, and I think it ends up working pretty well. Because one of the things that helps the game along so much is the bosses themselves, the aliens, and their characterization. The characterization in No More Heroes 3 is great. Fu is very well developed. He is such a prick. But here's what helps. Before each boss fight, you see a little cutscene of Fu interacting with the boss you're about to fight. Just kind of sitting around, usually like having a drink or something, sitting at like a restaurant, just chatting about what's going on. It really endears yourself not only to the boss you're about to fight, but to Fu as well. It humanizes him a lot. I think it's very important that you humanize your villains to a decent extent so they don't just end up being one-note blah evil villains. Like, I don't want to say I can't stand it because I get over it, but I greatly prefer villains like Fu, where you see very often these scenes of him being very human, just chatting and being actually caring towards the other members of his team. Even though he is a complete lunatic, he's an asshole to Damon, he's an asshole to his teammates. He's not likable, but at the same time he kind of is. I like Fu a lot. He is a fantastic villain. And you see him a lot, not just when you near the end of the game, but throughout the whole game you see him and you really endear yourself to him. And Travis as well, his character I feel like has reached its peak. When No More Heroes 1 and 2 were happening, Travis was young. He was like in his early to mid 20s. This game takes place I want to say 10 or so years after No More Heroes 2. Travis is in his 30s now, and he acts like it. You know, he's not the same. He is a cocky dickhead still, but he acts like he's matured. And you notice that, and you appreciate it. Travis has never been more likable as a character, and he was already pretty likable, even though he was like a weird loser in No More Heroes 1, and still a bit of a loser in the second game as well. No More Heroes 3, at this point, he's been married, after No More Heroes 2, between that and Travis Strikes Again, he's married Sylvia, he's had 2 kids, and he's grown up a lot. He's been separated from Sylvia and his kids for years just for their safety. And Travis actually spends a lot of the game desperately trying to just talk to Sylvia, because she's busy. She seems to be a secretary for Damon in this game, which is really interesting, but she's always so busy, and Travis needs to talk to Sylvia for just to catch up, just to see what the hell's going on, I guess. So, and all of that really brings Travis's character to a good light. But Sylvia, I gotta say, maybe because she is so busy, I don't think that her characterization is as strong. She's also matured a lot. She's a professional. She herself has gotten older as well. She was also really young in the first 2 games, so she's kind of brought her she's kind of chiseled out the rough bits of her personality, so she's a lot more professional and down to earth in this game. She's not mean or weird or creepy in this game, or suspicious. But you don't spend a lot of time with Sylvia in No More Heroes 3, unfortunately. But I think at the interactions with Travis and the aliens make up for that. Oh yeah, and this isn't a spoiler, it's one of the first things that happens. Jean talks now, the cat. Jean has this really deep voice for some reason. I don't think it's ever explained why Jean talks. Maybe that's another Travis Strikes Again thing. Or maybe it just doesn't have an explanation. This is a series where if the cat starts talking, you're not going to spend too much time questioning it. And I actually like Jean a lot. She's pretty funny. Like, you still have the normal, like, in the first 2 games you can interact with Jean, and it was cute and stuff. And you can still do that, except now Jean talks. So, like, when you feed her, she's like, I'm hungry. That was alright, I guess. And, like, you hear, like, meow. And, like, at one point, I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but, like, after meowing, you can hear the Jean, like, laugh a little bit. I don't know if that was just, like, a little thing the voice actor did, or if it was intentional. It was probably intentional, but I'd like to imagine it was just a voice actor laughing and having to meow like that. I just love Travis in this game. He's great. And Robin Atkin Downes has really nailed down his voice as well, which makes everything that much better. So the game itself, something else that has never been better is the combat. No More Heroes 1 and 2 were on the Wii. They used the Wii Remote and Nunchuck. Their combat was going to be a little bit basic. So, I mean, it worked. They're still fun, but, I mean, they ain't Bayonetta, is all I'm saying. No More Heroes 3, I'm not sure I'd say is Bayonetta either, but it's a lot closer. The game feels very good to play. It's a lot more what you would expect from a hack and slash action game like this. You know, you got your light attacks, your heavy attacks, you can jump. I don't think you could jump in the previous games. Jumping is actually quite useful because what you can do is you can jump, and if there's an enemy nearby doing a light attack, you can either do a light attack or a heavy attack in the air. The light attack kind of like homes in on a nearby enemy. They can't be too far away, but if they're close enough, you just kind of zip right to them so that you can move from one enemy to another, and it feels great to just jump between them. Or you could do a heavy attack, which kind of does this like shockwave that affects all the enemies in an area, and I've noticed that it very frequently staggers enemies, so that's really useful as well. And then, of course, there is the Death Glove. I think that's what it's called. That came from Travis Strikes Again, where you have these abilities that you can use which add a lot of depth to itself. Like, you've got just a drop kick, you can slow down time in an area around you, you can like create this ring in the air which constantly like pelts enemies with like small damaging attacks. Using them, combining them with your regular attacks is a ton of fun. The only problem I have with it is I wish there was more abilities. I'm pretty, again, I may be wrong on this. I did not play Travis Strikes Again long, but I think in that game you had a lot of abilities and you can equip them separately. In No More Heroes 3, you only get the 4. The fourth one I didn't mention, by the way, is you can like force push enemies away from you, which I used the least out of all 4 abilities, if I may be honest. I just wish there was more than just those 4 abilities. I think that doing more would add a lot of depth and would add a lot of creativity to strategizing how best to handle certain situations. Another issue I have is part of it feels like, this is going to sound weird, part of it feels like No More Heroes 3 wants to be Dark Souls or something, because, you know, it's a bit of a button mashing hack and slash, but at the same time it has this tendency to line up your button inputs so that if you mash the button, you're going to be attacking for a long time and you may not have the proper opportunity to dodge at the right time. And there's several attacks that have very long animations. Like the heavy attacks take absolutely forever. Not only to like start, but to end. So you need to be a bit more deliberate than you think you should be while you're doing this combat. Otherwise, you may find yourself in the middle of a uncancelable animation that leaves you, you know, open to attack to whatever enemy you're not attacking right now. I found myself getting hit a lot when I was just in the middle of attacking and I couldn't do anything about it. It was very upsetting. And a lot of enemies kind of lean into this. The enemies can be irritating. So there's like 2 enemies in particular I want to point out. First is this dude with dual katanas. They are very fast. They take a fair bit of damage to stagger, and the most effective way to fight them is to do a perfect dodge, where you dodge at the last second, and it slows down time and leaves them totally vulnerable the whole time. The problem, it's not necessarily with this enemy. My point is, the enemy's going to be real tough at first, but you're going to get used to him. The problem with the perfect dodge is that the timing feels weirdly inconsistent, because you will dodge at the absolute last second, and you'll either get hit or it wouldn't activate. The window for activating slowdown when you're doing a perfect dodge, it feels like it's a lot earlier than you would think. You kind of have to do it before they actually start swinging their attack at you. Otherwise, you're just going to do a regular dodge, or you're not going to dodge at all, and you're going to get hit. So that feels inconsistent. Anyway, I was in the middle of talking about the enemies. There's this other enemy I can't stand. They're not difficult on their own. It's this enemy that brings up a shield. That's fine. The only problem is the shield that it brings up. It's like a literal, like, knight's shield kind of thing. It brings it up pretty quickly and does not really come with any, like, notice. You don't see it, like, glow and then, like, materialize, and then all of your attacks are blocked. It kind of just, it shows up. And that drives me crazy, in combination with the long attack animations that you can't really cancel, because you're going to start attacking him, you're going to hit him, but the enemies in this game don't stagger right away, nor should they. But the thing is that attacking this enemy first is going to give him plenty of time, absolutely plenty of time, to bring up his shield so that you get blocked while you're still attacking. And it drove me insane when that happened. It happened a lot to me. So I needed to start being a lot more deliberate with my attacks and making sure to try to attack as soon as his shield goes away. Because another trouble is, of course, when he blocks your attack, you're going to be staggered for a second, and then his shield is going to very slowly start floating towards you, and then at that point it's an attack now. So it's another common instance. Since you couldn't cancel your attack animation in time, you're going to be staggered, and sometimes it takes just long enough so that the shield starts floating towards you, and then it hits you, and then does more damage and knocks you back further when the shield starts floating. And oh my god, that enemy drove me insane. Again, it's something you get used to. These two enemies, the first one you just completely get used to as you get better at perfect dodging and finding when that time frame is. The second one just drove me crazy the whole time. But that is not the majority. There's some annoying enemies, but they're annoying in the way that, like, God, they're really strong. They do a lot of damage. They move they move really quickly, but it's nothing you can't get used to. The combat is absolutely great. And any issues you have with it at first, you're going to get used to eventually. And overall, it just feels so smooth and, like, modern. This is, like, without a doubt, no doubt about it, the best feeling No More Heroes game to play. And it's not even close. What also comes back is the open world from No More Heroes 1 that was absent in No More Heroes 2. I didn't care for the open world in the first game because it was very barren. There wasn't a lot to do. Most of what you were doing was driving to the place where you got your jobs, and then driving to the job, and then driving back to the place where you get your jobs to get another job. And then there were just a few, like, scattered assassin missions where you would fight dudes, and it was just not very well thought out, I thought. And then they completely abandoned it in No More Heroes 2, which I don't know if that was the best way to do it. I guess I would have preferred an improved open world rather than just getting rid of it. And No More Heroes 3 absolutely does that. It's not perfect. I'm not gonna say I love exploring it. There's, like, collectibles you can find that you can trade in for money. There's odd jobs you could do just like in the original game. You can do these, like, little chores. There's there's the lawn mowing one, the trash picking up one. Some of them are really funny. I don't want to spoil one, but one of them does involve combat. And it's hilarious. I could not stop cracking up at this one. I would like to leave it a surprise. Just keep an eye out when you're playing this game for the one really funny odd job that you can do, and I loved it. What is more common is actual combat, because one change is when you go to fight the boss, there's not a level that precedes it. All of your combat is done before you actually pay for your admission fee to go to fight the boss. You have to do these admission challenges, if you will. You need to do at least 3 of them. There's usually 5 in a map before you do them all, but you only need to do 3. I don't know. I don't understand this. There's 2 different colored crystals. There's red crystals and blue crystals. And you need to get some of them you need to get 2 blues or 1 reds, or 2 reds and 1 blue. I don't know what the difference between them are. Some of the fights are just blue, some are red. Maybe there's certain differences I couldn't notice for the different types of combat, or the different levels. But I couldn't tell the difference. Some are blue, some are red. You need a certain amount of each to progress, and it's never more than 3, so it's not like a big deal. And you can, if you're having trouble with one, you can usually move on to a different one. But I don't know. That was weird. But it works out. I never. It was one of those things where if you hear about the change, you're going to be like, oh, that's silly. I don't like that. But then you just get used to it, because you're still doing the levels. You're just not doing the levels directly before the boss. And that's not really an issue. You're still fighting dudes. And that is how you're going to get most of your money, because there are some survival missions that you can do as well that'll give you plenty of money. Not enough, in my opinion, because there's certain separate missions that don't give you those crystals, where you just have to survive a certain number of waves of enemies. They usually take a lot longer than those qualifying missions, but they don't give you nearly as much money, which is dumb. You would think that if I'm doing a 10-wave fight, that should get me a decent amount of money, but it usually gives me the same, if not maybe a little more money than your normal qualifying missions, which are only 1 wave. I don't understand that. Another thing you could do is there are 2 currencies in the game. One is money. The other one is experience points, I guess. They're 2 totally different things, and you can take your experience points to Dr. Naomi's lab. Dr. Naomi herself doesn't appear to be in the game. It's very sad. I liked her, but she's not here. But you go to her lab, you access this arcade cabinet, and then you can increase your attack, increase your health, lower the cooldown times on your glove abilities, and also just unlock some new abilities in general. I did it a lot. I didn't max myself out or anything, but I did it a lot. I could barely feel any difference in any of the stats that I increased. Yeah, the cooldown I think was the most noticeable. The cooldown on the glove abilities, I very much noticed that. Once I upgraded them, I was definitely using the abilities more. But when it comes to the health and the attack, or even you can increase your battery life for your sword, that felt so inconsequential. The changes felt so minimum. And it almost didn't feel worth it. Part of me wants to play the game again, but not increase those things and see how much of a difference it makes. Because it was still taking forever to take down some of the stronger enemies, and I was still dying at about the same rate. It did not feel substantial enough, is my point. And that was a little frustrating. I think that pretty much covers the combat. Now I want to talk about the graphics. The style, of course, is there. The style is there in droves. Travis himself looks great, but one thing that really worried me leading up to the release of No More Heroes 3 was the E3 Nintendo Treehouse that they did on the game, where I don't know what was going on, because this wasn't too far out from release. This was earlier this year. The resolution on that preview was dog shit. The game looked terrible, and I was really worried. I was thinking oh God Christ, is this going to be like Deadly Premonition 2? Because, Deadly Premonition, I've never played it. It feels comparable to a Suda game, where it's very weird and a little awkward and not something for everybody. And I know Deadly Premonition 2 was terrible. I have not heard a single good thing about Deadly Premonition 2. And one of the bad things about it was how badly performed. And I was like, oh no, is this going to be the same way? The combat looked fine. I couldn't feel it. It looked good. It looked flashy. I didn't want to watch too much, so I didn't spoil myself, but it looked fine. But thankfully that, as I've explained, the game feels great to play. It's fun, so my worries were kind of put at bay. But the graphics still don't look great. One thing that you're going to be happy to hear is that the frame rate in combat is pretty consistent. I don't know if it's 60 frames per second, but it's definitely more than 30, and I rarely noticed any noticeable chugs in the frame rate when you're actually fighting. In the overworld, the frame rate's a lot shittier, but it really doesn't matter. Like, I didn't care about the frame rate. I was just driving around. There was no, split-second decisions I needed to make, so I was not really worried about the frame rate in the overworld. But overall, the fidelity of the game just isn't awesome. Like, the overworld especially, the overworld is just ugly. And one, bizarre thing, of course, games will lower the quality of textures the farther away you get to, improve performance. I was noticing that the textures on Travis's shirt got further, they got lower quality just when you were backing out the camera to the normal length, like just a totally normal length. It's not like the camera was very far away or anything. Like, the textures were getting low quality just at the normal camera distance. Like, if you move the camera closer to Travis, you see the textures pop back in, and I was just like, come on, could you not have the textures just could you not have them at least survive the camera length? And you notice a lot of texture and model pop in the cutscenes too, and I think that's where it is most noticeable and most troubling. Like, the texture pop in the overworld, whatever. It's a nitpick. I probably should have started with that, because it sounds like I'm just bitching about graphics, which are not that important, because the art style is so, overall a positive thing. But in the cutscenes, I feel like, I think I'm justified in saying that when the textures and the models pop in so much in the cutscenes, it's pretty distracting. But yeah, again, the game is mostly saved by its style, and Travis himself looks great. You could tell there's the textures on his jacket and his skin and his hair are very high quality, and he's the guy you're going to be looking at through the whole game anyway. So, the graphics aren't great. They're pretty fugly, but it's not that big a deal. Now, with No More Heroes, one of the most important parts of the boss fights, and overall, the bosses are very good. They're overall easy. It is a pet peeve of mine when I have more issues with common enemies than I do with bosses, because, in my opinion, I think the bosses should be the hardest part of the game. That should be the biggest challenge, but they're not. I tended to struggle a lot more in the regular fights compared to the boss fights. I don't know if I ever... No, I did die once. I did die once in a boss fight, except another new feature I forgot to mention is whenever you die, it spins a wheel. There's always been a bit of RNG to No More Heroes, because you've got that, the slot machine that plays whenever you kill an enemy, and that gives you certain buffs and stuff. But whenever you die, a wheel spins, and it can give you certain abilities. It can give you certain buffs, rather. There's one that increases your attack power. There's one that makes sure that your next roulette spin when you kill an enemy is a really good one. There's one that doesn't give you anything. There's one that respawns you with empty battery. But there's also one that instantly revives you right where you died. And that's the one that I got when I died the one time at a boss. So they were not difficult. They are mostly very fun to fight. There was not a single boss that I thought was lame. The final boss is awesome. Oh, I love the final boss. Again, not hard, but what a spectacle of a final boss it is. And then never mind, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to focus on the final boss himself. What a spectacle. So much fun. Such an interesting, area that you're in. I just don't want to spoil it right here. I loved it. The final boss was probably my favorite boss of the game. There's a few other fun gimmicks thrown in with the boss fights I don't want to spoil. It'll keep you on your toes is the thing. It's not just oh, you swing your sword at them and then they die, and then you go on to the next one. There's a lot of diversity in the bosses, and I loved it. Now, I do want to move on to my biggest complaint of the game, and it is a pretty big spoiler. I'm going to be spoiling every boss in the game with my complaint, but I do want to bring it up. So if it's pretty much going to be the last thing I mentioned too. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then just go ahead and turn the video off here. I liked No More Heroes 3 a lot. I definitely recommend it. It's like, if you like No More Heroes, you're going to like this game. Maybe play the first 3 games first before this one, just so that you can feel the evolution and then more understand the plot as well. So do I recommend it? Yes. Now, if that's what you needed, you can leave if you don't want to be spoiled. Because my biggest fucking issue with this fucking game, and it is something that bothered me a lot. I don't know if it bothers anyone else, but it bothers me, gosh dang it. Constant bait and switches on the bosses. This is something that happens, pretty often in No More Heroes. It's happened in No More Heroes 1. You got up to Let's Shake, and he died before you could fight him. Okay, I believe it's something like that happened in No More Heroes 2 as well. I don't remember the exact scenario, but, it didn't happen too much. Maybe once, twice if we're really pushing it. But, those alien bosses that the entire marketing of this game is centered around, how they, really hyped them up. They made you really not like them. They made you really want to fight them and kill them. They have these cool designs, which make you, what's fighting this guy gonna do? You fight 5 of them. You fight half of those aliens that you have been shoved in your face throughout the entire build-up to this game. You fight 5 of them. 6, 10, let's say 5.5. Because there's one boss you kind of fight, but you kind of don't at the same time. Let's go through them, in fact. Let's go through. If you've already, again, we're going through all the bosses and what happens when you reach them. So, this is big spoilers. One more fucking warning. Mr. Black Hole, the first boss, you fight him. Awesome. He was a fun boss fight. Gold Joe, you fight him. Really good boss fight too. He had these colored attacks that are based around magnets, so you had to walk over certain panels to reverse your polarity, so that the magnetic attacks don't hurt you or bring you in. Come to think of it, I died at Gold Joe a couple times, maybe once or twice, so never mind, I've died at the bosses before. Great boss fight. Black Knight Direction. Oh, he's an alien kidnapper. Oh, he's got this big cloak. You see him very solemnly talking to Fu before the fight. Ooh, what's he gonna be like? I don't know. Let's fight a robot ninja from Earth instead. What? The fight was fun. Don't get me wrong, the fight was fun. You fight this robot ninja. Spoiler warning again. He's your grandson from the future, which is funny. And he's a fun enough fight. He's the guy who gives you all your other glove techniques. But I would have much rather fought the alien kidnapper. What is this guy gonna fight like? Is he gonna swallow me up in his cloak and then put me somewhere else and then I have to fight him there? That would be cool. But no, you fight a robot ninja. How does he fight? How do you think a robot ninja fights? Just like that. It was a fine fight, but it wasn't very interesting. Then Vanishing Point gets killed by Kimmy Love, who is Kimmy Howell from No More Heroes 2. Travis has a rap battle with her, which is hilarious. And again, her fight was fine. I would have rather fought Vanishing Point. I would have rather fought this wacky polygon demon with the pointy hands. But okay, the pop star is good. Then Velvet Chair Girl. Oh my god, Velvet Chair Girl. This is the half. First of all, she doesn't get a cutscene with Fu. She's the character you learned the least about, which was frustrating, because every other character had pretty good development, not crazy, but Velvet Chair Girl almost had none. She is a intergalactic musical chairs champion. So your actual fight with Velvet Chair Girl herself is a game of musical chairs. It's a rhythm game. You need to press the button as it comes up on the beat, and then rush to the chair when the music stops. That's great. And then after you beat her in musical chairs, she dies, and then you fight her octopus friend. This is the half. I mean, you technically have some kind of battle against Velvet Chair Girl, and then you fight something that's actually directly related to her. She's not, an alien is killed by a pop star. An alien is killed by your grandson ninja. It is Velvet Chair Girl, and then Velvet Chair Girl's octopus pet. I'm fine with that. I'm okay with it. Midori Midorikawa, you fight her. great. She was actually a really good boss. She's a really good character. Apparently she's dating this character from another Suda game. I was totally lost on that. I've never heard of that guy. I don't even remember his name, but he shows up a little bit. I'm sure like bigger Suda fans than me will get we'll get an absolute like nerdgasm over that, but I don't know who that is. And then Sniping Lee is killed by this. You don't fight him. He's killed by this wrestler guy. I don't know if he was in a previous game. Maybe I'm forgetting about him. I don't know if he's new. But he's killed by this wrestler guy, and then you fight Destroy Man. Okay, it's No More Heroes. Destroy Man is basically a meme at this point. Like, I would be shocked if Destroy Man wasn't in Travis Strikes Again or in any future No More Heroes game. Like, he's Destroy Man. You gotta have Destroy Man, but can I have Destroy Man and the fun sniper boss? Both? Maybe. Like, I was actually really excited to fight Sniping Lee because I thought, oh, is this gonna be like the end from Metal Gear Solid 3? Am I going to need to, like, fight off enemies while dodging his sniper bullets, like making my way up the beach to get to him and then like maybe finish him off? Maybe he doesn't even fight back because he's a sniper. He's just gonna stand there and die. But I don't care. I was really excited. I was imagining what the fight could be like, but no, you fight fucking Destroy Man instead. Like, my problem with the boss fights replacements, it's not that they're bad fights, it's just they're not as interesting. This sniper alien is a lot more interesting to me than fighting Destroy Man for a third time. It was so disappointing. Moving on, Sonic Juice, you fight Sonic Juice, and it's great. It's like, it starts off with this RPG thing. Like, he wants to fight you as a turn-based RPG. You can't hurt him, hardly at all. So what you gotta do is you have to destroy the RPG menus to beat him, which is hilarious. And then you have a regular boss fight against him. Great. Cool. Paradox Bandit, you don't fight. He actually is killed by Fu before you even fight Sonic Juice. So I was like, okay, we're not fighting this guy, I guess. We're not fighting this cool alien dude. Instead we're fighting Henry. Why does Henry look like that? Is that another Travis Strikes Again thing? I don't know. Why does he look like that? Why does he sound like that? I could look into it. Whatever. Again, it's like Destroy Man. You gotta have Henry. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with fighting Henry again, even though his fight in No More Heroes 1 was terrible. But, you know, whatever. You fight Henry. I would have liked to fight Paradox Bandit as well, but, you know, fucking I'll fight Henry instead. And then you fight Fu, which is a great boss. You gotta fight Fu. But here's the thing. I was actually worried that you weren't going to fight Fu because of all the bait and switches throughout the whole fucking game. I mean, I guess you can't call them all bait and switches, because it's not like you were expecting to fight Paradox Bandit. He died 2 levels ago, so it's not like you got there and he died, but you still didn't fight him, and then you still had Black Knight Direction, Vanishing Point, Sniping Lee, where that's 3 times in this game where you make it to the boss and he's killed by somebody else. But by the 3rd time, it's not effective anymore. I'm like, I get it. Okay, that's hilarious. Haha, you threw me for a loop. By the 3rd time, it's not a loop anymore. I'm just making it to every boss expecting them to die. And I hated it. It's not just the fact that it's a bait and switch, but again, I wanted to fight these aliens. They look cool. I think they could have really inventive boss fights, but they were replaced with things that are far less interesting. And it actually really got under my skin while playing this game. It did hamper my enjoyment of it a bit. Overall, the game's great. That part drove me insane, and I hated it. I don't know if you agree with me, please let me know, because I don't want to be alone on this. I want to just make sure I'm not going crazy, or if I'm not being entitled or something, or if I'm just not understanding. Am I too stupid to understand the genius of Suda51 on why he marketed the game with these incredible looking bosses that have a ton of potential to be fun boss fights, and then you just don't fight half of them? Maybe I'm just not getting something here, but please let me know if there's some narrative thing that I'm missing here. Alright, that was fun. Anyway, that's all I have to say on No More Heroes 3. I thought it was a ton of fun. Very great game. I can't stress enough that if you like No More Heroes you're gonna like this game. But then again, if you made it through the spoiler warning, that means you've probably already beaten it. At least I hope you have. I hope I didn't just ruin the game for you, but hey, I warned you. Anyway, great. This was fun. I like just kind of shooting the shit here, and talking about a game I beat recently. I don't know how frequently these are going to come out because I don't beat games on a schedule, but the next one I'm going to be doing is probably going to be Dragon Quest XI. I'm almost done with that game. I have a lot to say about it, and you know what? I look forward to doing this more. Thank you so much for listening all the way through. If you did, check out No More Heroes 3. Fun game. And stay tuned for more shit on the Straw Hat No. And maybe if me and Thorn ever share games, like both beat a game at about the same time, or one of us beats a game the other is beaten, maybe we'll do one together as well. Just a discussion. Anyway, before I ramble on anymore, goodbye everybody. Have a good day, and see you around.